Most people think wealth is a number, a balance, a lifestyle, a visible result. That belief keeps them trapped at the lowest level forever. Wealth is not money first. Money is a symptom. Wealth is position. It is insulation from pressure. It is the distance between you and desperation. The world sorts people into levels long before they realize it. These levels are not announced. They are enforced quietly through options, stress, and freedom. You can feel which level you are on by how you react to problems. Panic reveals poverty. Calm reveals leverage. The lowest level of wealth is survival. This is where most people live their entire lives. Survival wealth means every decision is controlled by necessity. Bills dictate behavior. Fear dictates choices. Time is sold reactively instead of invested deliberately. At this level, people do not plan long-term because the present is too loud. Psychologically, survival wealth creates tunnel vision. You focus on immediate relief, not strategic gain. You choose what pays now, not what compounds later. This is not stupidity, it is biology. When resources are scarce, the brain prioritizes safety over growth. The tragedy is that survival feels busy. You are always doing something, always tired, always stressed. From the outside, it looks like effort. From the inside, it feels like drowning. And because you are exhausted, you have no space to think, learn, or reposition. The world exploits this level relentlessly. When you are desperate, you accept bad terms. Low pay, disrespect, unstable conditions. You tell yourself it's temporary. Temporary becomes permanent because the system is designed to keep you here. Survival wealth is not just about money. You can earn and still be here. If missing one paycheck would destabilize your life, you are here. If saying no feels dangerous, you are here. If your identity is tied to pleasing those who control your income, you are here. Most people never leave this level because they confuse movement with progress. The second level of wealth is stability. Stability feels like freedom when you've escaped survival, but it is still a cage. At this level, your basic needs are covered. You can breathe. You can plan a little. Emergencies don't immediately destroy you. Psychologically, stability calms the nervous system. You stop panicking. You start thinking. This is where many people stop climbing because comfort feels like success. The danger is subtle. Stability rewards compliance. At this level, you begin to protect what you have instead of building what you need. Risk feels unnecessary. You optimize for predictability. You trade upside for security. This is encouraged by society because stable people are reliable contributors. The world likes you here. You pay taxes. You follow rules. You don't disrupt systems. You believe you're doing well because you're no longer suffering, but you are still replaceable. Stability wealth is fragile. One industry shift, one health issue, one political decision, one market change, and you slide back to survival. You are calm but not powerful. The third level of wealth is comfort. Comfort is where lifestyle inflation begins. Better food, better housing, better experiences. You feel like you've made it compared to where you started. Psychologically, comfort is dangerous because it blurs ambition. Pain fades, hunger softens. The drive that pushed you out of survival weakens. You begin to identify with your routine. You defend it emotionally. Comfort creates attachment. Attachment creates fear of loss. Fear of loss reduces risk tolerance. At this level, people often sabotage their own growth to preserve how things feel. The world rewards comfort with distractions, entertainment, status symbols, social validation. You are encouraged to display success instead of consolidating power. This keeps you busy consuming instead of positioning. Comfort wealth still requires participation. You still trade time for money, even if the trade is better. Your lifestyle depends on continued performance. You are not free. You are just comfortable. The fourth level of wealth is independence. This is where the game actually changes. Independence means your survival and comfort are no longer tied to a single source. You have options. Time becomes more flexible. Decisions become less emotional. Psychologically, independence restores agency. You stop reacting and start choosing. You can say no without panic. You can wait. You can negotiate. This is the first level where leverage appears. Independence does not require extreme wealth. It requires separation. Separation from one boss, one client, one system, one fragile stream of income. The moment you are not easily cornered, people treat you differently. The world tests you at this level. It offers comfort again, disguised as bigger salaries, prestige, or stability traps. Many fall back because independence demands responsibility. There is no one to blame when things go wrong. At independence, you start to see systems clearly. You notice how rules favor those with flexibility. You understand why the calm always seem to win. Calm is purchased with options. The fifth level of wealth is leverage. This is where money stops being the focus and starts being a tool. You are no longer just independent, you are influential. Your decisions move outcomes beyond yourself. Psychologically, leverage changes identity. You stop thinking like a worker or consumer and start thinking like an owner. You ask different questions. Who controls this? What breaks if I leave? Where is the bottleneck? Leverage comes from owning assets, systems, networks, or attention. You do not need to work harder here. You need to position smarter. Time works for you instead of against you. The world negotiates with you at this level. You are no longer told what to accept. You are asked what it would take. This is not respect for you as a person, it is respect for your position. Most people never reach leverage because it requires delayed gratification and long periods of invisibility. There is little applause while leverage is being built, only risk and uncertainty. The sixth level of wealth is sovereignty. This is the level few even imagine, let alone reach. Sovereignty means you are not just wealthy, you are structurally free. Your life is governed by internal standards, not external pressure. Psychologically, sovereignty brings silence, not emptiness, but peace. You are not rushed. You are not reactive. You are not pulled into games you did not choose. You can engage or disengage at will. At this level, money is abundant but irrelevant. Time, energy, and focus are the true currencies. You design your environment. You choose your battles. You are insulated from chaos. The world does not advertise this level because it cannot easily extract from it. Sovereign individuals are difficult to tax, pressure, or manipulate. They exist above most incentives. Each level of wealth is also a level of identity. You cannot jump levels without shedding beliefs. Survival believes in luck. Stability believes in rules. Comfort believes in balance. Independence believes in options. Leverage believes in systems. Sovereignty believes in self-governance. Most suffering comes from living at one level while thinking like another, dreaming of sovereignty while behaving like survival, wanting leverage while clinging to comfort. The question, which level are you on, is not about money. It is about how you respond to pressure, how you make decisions, what you tolerate, what you protect. The world will always try to pull you down a level when you get complacent. Inflation, competition, crisis, these are not accidents. They are filters. The climb is not moral. It is psychological. It demands that you let go of stories that once kept you safe but now keep you small. This is only the map. The climb itself is another matter. Movement between levels is never accidental. It is always resisted internally before it is blocked externally. The world does not stop you from climbing. Your identity does. Each level has a psychological gravity that pulls you back if you do not consciously counter it. Leaving survival requires more than earning more money. It requires breaking the addiction to urgency. Survival trains you to treat every problem as an emergency. This makes you reactive, emotional, and short-sighted. To move up, you must learn to delay relief, to tolerate discomfort without immediately fixing it. This is why most people who earn more money at this level still feel poor. Their mind never left survival. The first real upgrade happens when you stop asking, how do I make more? And start asking, how do I reduce pressure? Pressure is the real enemy. Pressure forces bad decisions. Pressure turns short-term solutions into lifelong traps. Anyone who can lower pressure gains clarity. Clarity is the gateway to leverage. Stability is seductive because it rewards obedience. You follow rules, show up consistently, avoid mistakes, and you are allowed to stay comfortable. But stability quietly rewires your psychology. You begin to equate risk with danger instead of opportunity. You protect routines instead of building systems. You become proud of reliability instead of positioning. To leave stability, you must be willing to look irresponsible to people who fear instability. This is where most people stop. They don't want to be judged. They don't want to disappoint. They don't want to be wrong publicly. Stability survives on social approval. Comfort is where ambition goes to sleep. You can afford small luxuries, so you confuse enjoyment with fulfillment. You reward yourself too early. You tell yourself you deserve rest, balance, and peace before you have built anything that can protect those things long term. Comfort trains you to avoid discomfort again, even though discomfort is what got you there. This contradiction traps millions. They remember the pain of survival, so they cling to comfort, unaware that comfort is slowly eroding their edge. Leaving comfort requires voluntary hardship. You must choose difficulty when it is no longer forced. You must disrupt your own ease before life does it for you. This is why discipline feels unnatural here. There is no external threat pushing you forward anymore. Independence begins when you stop optimizing for income and start optimizing for optionality. Optionality is the ability to choose between paths without panic. This is why independence feels psychologically lighter even when income fluctuates. You are no longer cornered. At independence, your biggest enemy becomes distraction. You finally have space, and you waste it. Freedom without direction dissolves into indulgence. Many people mistake independence for the destination and stop building. Independence requires self-governance. No boss, no structure, no external enforcement. If you lack internal standards, you drift. The world does not punish you immediately for drifting here. It waits. Then it charges interest. Leverage is built quietly during this phase, not by doing more, but by owning more. Owning decisions, owning outcomes, owning assets, owning distribution, owning attention. Ownership changes how the world interacts with you. At leverage, you realize something uncomfortable. Working harder is often counterproductive. The goal is not effort, it's impact. One correct move beats 1,000 busy ones. This is where strategic thinking replaces hustle. Psychologically, leverage is destabilizing. You realize how much of life is designed to keep people busy, not powerful. You see how narratives of hard work are used to justify unequal outcomes. This can create anger if you are not careful. Anger at this stage is dangerous. It tempts you to prove something instead of build quietly. The correct response is detachment. Use the information. Don't fight the system emotionally. Outgrow it structurally. Sovereignty is not flashy. It does not look like social media success. It looks boring from the outside. Few meetings, few reactions, few obligations. The power is in what you are not forced to do. At sovereignty, you understand that the highest form of wealth is not access to luxury, but immunity from pressure. You are not rushed by deadlines you didn't choose. You are not threatened by opinions you don't respect. You are not seduced by offers that dilute your autonomy. Psychologically, sovereignty requires comfort with solitude. You cannot be sovereign and constantly seek validation. The crowd does not understand this level, and trying to explain it pulls you down. The world tests sovereignty differently, not with scarcity, but with temptation, ego, legacy, recognition, influence. These can pull you back into games that reintroduce pressure. True sovereignty means you can walk away even from praise. Each level you climb, fewer people can relate to you. This is not arrogance, it's math. Shared reality shrinks. This is why many people self-sabotage just to belong again. Belonging is one of the strongest psychological anchors. It keeps people in survival, stability, and comfort far longer than logic would justify. Climbing requires emotional separation before physical separation. The most dangerous illusion is thinking you can keep the mindset of one level while living at another. That mismatch creates anxiety, burnout, and confusion. Your beliefs must update with your position. Survival requires urgency. Stability requires caution. Comfort requires discipline. Independence requires structure. Leverage requires patience. Sovereignty requires restraint. Skipping these psychological upgrades is what causes sudden collapses. Lottery winners fall. Athletes go broke. Entrepreneurs burn out. Their wealth changed, but their level did not. The world constantly applies downward pressure. Inflation, competition, chaos. These are not failures of the system. They are the system. They push out the weak and reward the structured. You do not rise once. You defend your level every day. The question is not where you start. The question is whether you are willing to shed the identity that belongs to where you are. Because wealth is not something you reach. It is something you must become capable of holding.